My parents and sister refused to take my 11-year-old son to the ER after he broke his leg. They said, "We're busy. It's not that serious." I didn't argue. I just acted. 4 days later, they were the ones screaming, and this time, no one came rushing for them. Hey, Reddit. I don't usually post on here. I just scroll, read drama, and mind my business. But things at home went so sideways, I honestly didn't know where else to drop this. I'm Ava, 36. I work corporate security for a logistics firm that moves high-value cargo, government gear, rare components, expensive tech. Think armored routes and risk maps, not mall patrol. I travel a lot. I get paid well. I plan everything 2 weeks ahead because I have to. I've also been raising my son, 11, Eli. His dad, my husband, died in a car accident. No long story needed. Eli's a smart kid, never gave me problems, keeps to himself, good grades, decent attitude. I've kept him solid because I've had no choice but to be solid. My parents still live in the house I grew up in. My older sister, Michelle, still lives there too. 36 years old, jobless, no rent, no bills. Her main contribution to society is reselling PlayStation 5s and sending 40-minute voice notes about how the government should forgive her credit card debt. She has 2 kids she barely sees, 3 failed startups, and no driver's license because she never renewed it after a DUI in 2019. They still baby her like she's a recovering war hero. When I was 19, I was working overnight warehouse shifts and still had to pay them $400 a month in rent. Michelle, she eats their food, uses their truck, and has mental fatigue anytime someone mentions employment. My parents have spent the last 15 years convincing everyone she's just misunderstood. She's sensitive. She's figuring it out. You've always been the strong one. Translation: I work, so I get punished. She mooches, so she gets a Toyota Matrix. 2002. We'll come back to that later. A few months back, my parents planned a spring break trip to Arizona. National parks, ghost towns, a motel with fake Western themes. It was going to be them, Michelle, Michelle's kids, and Eli. I had a business assignment in Germany that same week. Couldn't bring Eli on-site walkthroughs, so this worked out. They offered to bring him. I said yes. 3 days before they left, my mom called me. We're booking the rooms now. Michelle's a little tight on cash. Can you cover her share? No apology, no soft pitch, just the usual assumption. I said no. She didn't argue, just went, huh? And ended the call. Eli left the next morning. I helped him pack, printed his itinerary, gave him $200 for the road. I told them to take care of him. They nodded, smiled, promised they would. 4 days later, I'm in Augsburg finishing up a route inspection report. I get an email from the front desk manager at a hotel in Flagstaff. Subject line, incident report, guest Elijah Brylock. He had gone to the front desk earlier that day to ask for ice. Could barely walk, leg visibly swollen. Said he didn't need a doctor, just wanted to rest. The front desk staff were concerned enough to check the cameras. They sent me the footage. Eli limping through the lobby, one shoe off, hoodie sleeve tied around his thigh. No adult with him, no one helping. He dragged himself to the elevator, holding the railing like it was a lifeline. Then he disappeared into the hallway. The manager emailed me because I was listed as the emergency contact on the reservation. They also tried calling the number on file, my parents, and got voicemail. I called my mom, no answer. I called my dad, no answer. I called Michelle. She picked up. Where's Eli? I asked. Hotel room, I think, she said, sounding like she was chewing something. Why? The front desk just emailed me security footage of him limping like his leg's broken. She paused. Oh, yeah. He tripped yesterday on some trail steps. Said he was good. You took him to urgent care? He said he could walk. Didn't want to kill the day. So you just left him in the room? He said he was tired. I hung up. 3 minutes later, I got a text from my dad. You made your choices, so we made ours. This is how you abandoned your sister. So we abandoned your son, too. Now you both know how it feels. Then I booked the next flight out of Munich. Red-eye, no sleep, just packed my laptop and badge, dumped the rest at the hotel desk, and ran. 9 hours later, I was back in the U.S., still in the same shirt I'd worn on site. Drove straight from the airport to the hospital the hotel said they'd sent Eli to. One of the front desk staff had called 911 an hour after he limped back downstairs asking for Tylenol. Said he looked gray in the face. Clean break through his lower leg. They said if he'd come in 24 hours earlier, it would have just been a cast, but he'd been walking on it for over a day. Now it needed screws. I signed the surgical consent forms, paid the deposit, and waited. When he came out, he was doped up and sleepy. First thing he said was, "Sorry, I didn't want to bother you." Not one complaint, not one question. After he got discharged, I brought him home, carried him up 2 flights, set him up on the couch. The next morning, I woke up to 27 missed calls, 11 voicemails, and a Facebook message from my mom that said, "You've changed." Damn right I have. First thing I did when Eli was stable was open my laptop and sign into the joint utility accounts. Power, internet, car insurance, phone plan, all under my name, all paid with my money. I'd been covering the household bills for years without complaint. Every month, like clockwork, I paid their gas bill, their internet, even their insurance premium, because Michelle couldn't get coverage on her own. They thought it was automatic, like I owed it. That stopped. I closed everything. Called the insurance company, told them to remove my father and sister from the shared policy, called the cell provider, killed the extra 3 lines tied to their devices, went online and disconnected autopay from the utilities, left the accounts open, but I wasn't funding them anymore. Final step. Canceled the emergency medical card I set up for Michelle last year. She had used it twice to buy prescription meds and once to order DoorDash during a mental health weekend. I cut it off and deleted her user access. 24 hours later, the messages started. First one came from my mom. "The house internet just got shut off. Did something happen with the payment?" Then Michelle. "Can't log into the insurance site. What's going on?" Then my dad. "This better not be some passive-aggressive stunt." It wasn't a stunt, it was a correction. They had leaned on me for years. I had paid for their problems while they handed Michelle every excuse in the book. They left my son broken and alone to prove a point. Now they could feel what it's like to go without support. 3 hours later, the power bill bounced. Gas was next. They realized what was happening real fast. My mom left a voicemail crying about being cold in her own home. My dad followed up with, "You always knew we depended on you. We're not the enemy here." Michelle sent a screenshot of her empty checking account and said, "Real mature, sis. Punish everyone just because you're mad." I didn't respond. Instead, I sent one email. A formal notice CC'd to my company's legal department, my HR rep, and Carter, my private counsel. It included a timeline, the trip date, the hotel incident report, the text from my dad admitting they abandoned Eli, photos from the ER, the urgent care bill. Subject line, notification of personal withdrawal from financial support. In the email, I explained that I had provided voluntary assistance to immediate relatives for years, but due to a confirmed incident of custodial negligence involving my minor son, all non-essential support was terminated as of this week. I attached screenshots of all account removals and formally requested that no further financial contact be made through work, insurance, or dependent accounts. Legal cover, full record, no room for debate. That night they tried calling again. All 3 numbers, back to back, voicemails, texts, emails, even Facebook DMs from extended relatives. Michelle sent another text. "You're going nuclear over one mistake. You've got serious issues, Ava." Then she tried to log into the gas account. I got the security alert instantly. Next morning, I got an email from my aunt asking if everything was okay between us. She said my mom had mentioned something about Eli getting a little banged up on the trip and that he was fine now. They were already rewriting the story. I replied with the hotel security footage and a redacted version of the hospital intake form. Subject line, "Just banged up." No reply after that. By Thursday, Jack texted me. He said the heat was off at the house. Said my dad was trying to get a payment extension and Michelle was throwing a fit about living like a peasant. Jack also said Michelle started a GoFundMe. No joke. A fundraiser titled, "Help My Family Recover from a Financial Hit." And it was full of lies. Claimed their bank accounts were hacked. Claimed I vanished and left them stranded. Said they were dealing with a family medical crisis and needed urgent help. She even uploaded a picture of the broken heater from 2019. One I paid to replace. The whole thing had $74 in donations from 3 people. 2 of them were fake accounts. By Friday, I got an email from a random Gmail account claiming to be my dad. Let's handle this like adults. Come sit down with us. No lawyers, no drama, just family. That same day, Carter overnighted a certified letter to their address. Formal termination of dependent financial relationship. Signed, stamped, and filed. Let me tell you what happened next. At 3:22 a.m. that night, I got a FaceTime call from Michelle. Missed it. She left a voicemail. You went too far. You just shut the power off on your parents because you didn't like one decision. You think that makes you a woman? All you did was prove we can't trust you. Followed immediately by a message from my mom. It's not too late to fix this, please, before it gets worse. I sent one text back. No support, no contact. You earned this. The cutoff hit them harder than I expected, not because they couldn't survive without me, but because they never planned for a world where I'd actually walk away. They thought I'd cave, like always. Thought I'd feel guilty, show up with groceries and a payment plan. Not this time. First few days were quiet, just cold air and weak signals coming out of that house. No updates from Eli's school about surprise pickups, no more voicemails from my mom trying to reason through a betrayal they caused. It almost felt like peace. Until Tuesday night. I got home from work around 6. Long day. We had just flagged a GPS reroute glitch on a Department of Defense shipment out of Baltimore. $4 million in comms gear that almost went to the wrong depot. Had to be handled in person. I spent the whole afternoon at HQ breaking down response protocols and covering our rear end with the client. Exhausting but normal for what I do. Pulled into my complex, parked underground, scanned my badge, and rode the elevator up. As soon as the doors opened to my floor, I heard voices. 2 of them. Michelle was slouched against my front door like she owned the hallway. My dad was pacing in slow circles next to her. I didn't say anything at first, just walked up and set my duffel on the ground. Michelle saw me and lit up like I owed her something. Finally, she said, you've been ignoring us. I ignored the question, pulled my keys out, and started unlocking the door. You think it's okay to shut the heat off on your own family? My dad asked. Is this how you handle things now? Michelle added. Like a coward? I opened the door and walked inside. They followed me in like I'd invited them. The second they stepped in, they started scanning the place. My apartment isn't flashy. 2-bedroom, clean layout, neutral colors, but it's well kept. High floor, secure building, quiet neighbors. Eli's room had a futon, a PC I built for him, and shelves of books. I kept his crutches by the door for easier access. The place smelled like lemon cleaner and pepperoni Hot Pockets. My dad sat down like it was still his house. We need to talk. Michelle stayed standing. I've been eating saltines for 2 days. That's not my problem, I said, locking the door behind them. No, my dad said. So what? You're just done with us after all these years? You're done with me? I said, that's what you chose in Arizona. Michelle scoffed. He tripped on some stairs. I looked at her. You left him alone, in pain, in public, and then you doubled down. You made a choice too, my dad said. You refused to support your sister. That's not how family works. I stayed standing. So abandoning my kid was the lesson? Some kind of moral balancing act? My dad leaned forward. This is what happens when you cut off your own blood. Things spiral. Bills pile up. We lost power for 3 days. Your mom got sick. You mean she had the sniffles? I said. I paid that gas bill every winter for 10 years. She'll live. Michelle walked over to the kitchen and grabbed a granola bar from the drawer. No ask, no shame, just cracked it open and started chewing. You've got food, heat, Wi-Fi, she said. All I'm saying is don't hoard it. You're not even supposed to be here, I said. She shrugged. You left us no choice. My dad added, you want to play games? Fine, but don't think we won't show up. You left the door open for too long. We're not going away quietly. I looked at both of them and said nothing. Then I walked into the hallway and called Eli out of his room. He limped over, crutches under both arms. He saw Michelle and froze. Michelle gave him a nod like they were still pals. Hey, buddy. You good now? Eli didn't answer. He just looked at me. You said you'd never talk to them again, he said. I didn't invite them, I told him. They showed up. Eli stared them down. I remember what you said to me. Michelle shifted. We were just stressed. Eli nodded slowly, then turned around and went back to his room. That shut them up. My dad stood, fixing his jacket. Look, we just need a little help until things stabilize. It's not about blame anymore. It's about getting back on track. I walked past him and opened the door. There is no track. You're off it. Michelle stood there holding the granola wrapper. "You're really going to do this?" "You already did it," I said. They left. No scene, no shouting. Just two people walking out with their pride under one arm and nothing else. I locked the door behind them and sat down. An hour later, I got a PayPal request from Michelle. $600. Caption: Family bond. Declined. Next morning, my building's front desk called. Said, "A woman matching Michelle's description tried to drop off a used space heater at the lobby for your unit. Claimed you owed her a favor." They flagged her and told her to leave. She came back the next day with my dad. Tried again, this time with groceries. Told the security guard I was in need of reconciliation. Building management issued a soft trespass warning. Any more visits and they'd get police involved. I signed the report. They sent me a PDF for records. That weekend, I got a call from Eli's school counselor. Said someone had called posing as Eli's aunt, trying to get a copy of his school schedule. Michelle. I drove to the school that same afternoon and filed a restricted contact form. They flagged the name, address, phone number. No contact allowed unless cleared by me in writing. I also added one more thing. Changed our emergency pickup list to just me and my buddy Aaron. Ex-military, lives 2 blocks away, has full clearance at the school. No loopholes. The next week, Jack sent me a photo from my parents' house. Front porch lights were out. The GoFundMe was gone. Michelle's mental health break tweets dried up. My dad posted a photo of a candle with the caption, "Going through it." Jack said, "My mom started telling the extended family that something changed in you after your husband died." Classic tactic. Rewrite the history, spin the blame, act like my boundaries were sudden trauma responses. They weren't. They were overdue. They thought I was bluffing. They didn't realize I'd already moved on. The day after I filed the school paperwork, I got a call from HR. Not the usual compliance check or benefits reminder. This was Nayan, our regional HR head. Calm voice, formal tone. "Hey, just a heads up," she said. "Someone called the general line asking if you'd been placed on leave. Claimed to be your sister, wanted to verify your employment status." I let her finish, then told her everything in under 90 seconds. She paused. "Understood," she said. "I'll open a flag in your personnel file and alert compliance." 2 hours later, Carter sent me an email. Subject line, retaliation precaution. He'd already filed a restraining draft in case Michelle escalated. That night, I found out how far they were willing to go. It started with a group text from my aunt, Mom's side, always in their corner. Her message, "You're embarrassing your family. Whatever happened with Eli, it's done. He's not hurt anymore. Why are you dragging this out?" Then came my cousin Eric, who I haven't spoken to in 3 years. "Don't take your anger out on everyone. Your parents are good people. They're hurting." I didn't respond. They weren't just mad I pulled the plug. They were mad they couldn't spin it quietly. No one expected me to fight back with receipts. They wanted the shame, but none of the spotlight. So I put it all in one place. I created a Google Drive folder titled Liability Records, Brylock Family. Inside, PDF of the hotel's incident report, timestamp security footage, photos of Eli's leg post surgery, voicemail from my dad admitting what they did, screenshot of the GoFundMe launched with false claims, email trail with HR and Carter, everything watermarked, everything backed up. Then I sent the link to 4 people. My aunt who called me embarrassing. My cousin who said, "Don't take your anger out." My dad's brother, a lawyer who once offered me advice. Jack, no context, no explanation, just the link. 10 minutes later, I got this from my aunt. "This isn't what your mom told us." Exactly. Jack replied with one sentence, "They're cooked." By Friday, the family WhatsApp group, which I'd been removed from years ago, exploded. Jack screenshotted the threads for me. My mom was panicking, backpedaling in real time. "She's saying it was an accident," Jack said. "But then your dad sends that text again like it proves a point." They were eating each other alive. That weekend, I stayed home with Eli, built a new shelf for his room, upgraded his PC fans, cooked burgers on the stovetop. We watched a movie and knocked out early. Sunday night, I got another knock at the door. Not Michelle, not my parents. It was Mrs. Jensen, my parents' neighbor. Late 60s, wore orthopedic shoes, knew everyone's dirt. She handed me a brown envelope with my name written in shaky pen. "They asked me to give this to you," she said. Didn't tell me what it was. I thanked her and shut the door. inside. And a printed letter from my mom, a photo of her holding Eli as a baby. 2 gift cards, Target and Applebee's, both half used. A flyer for family therapy sessions, with the price circled. The letter started with, "You weren't raised this way." Then rambled for 4 pages about forgiveness, misunderstanding, how Michelle just needs a few more chances, and how it's not too late to reset. I shredded the letter, kept the photo, and tossed the rest. By Tuesday, Carter let me know they'd received a cease and desist counter letter from my dad's attorney friend, one I used to respect. It was thin, accused me of financial abandonment, claimed I had an unwritten obligation to assist the household based on established behavior patterns. Carter's reply was one line, no legal standing, no obligation, no contact. And a copy of my email from Chapter 2 was attached again, officially entered into record. I kept it simple from there. Next power play came when I called the property assessor. My name was still on the house title. Not because I lived there, because 12 years ago, I helped them avoid foreclosure and got added as a security owner. I hadn't touched it since, but I still had leverage. I called the county office and filed a lien removal transfer, basically shifting any future ownership interest from my name to a trust in Eli's name. Not immediate ownership, just paperwork that made it legally clear I was no longer tethered to the property. Takes 3 to 4 weeks to process, but once it does, any future equity Michelle was banking on, gone. 2 days later, Michelle posted another Facebook status. It's crazy how some people would rather be legally right than morally decent. Got 3 likes, 1 from her burner account. Meanwhile, my dad started texting Jack. We were just trying to show her what it felt like to be ignored. We didn't mean for the kid to get hurt. Kids bounce back. Tell her to come over. We can clear this up woman to woman. Jack forwarded every message to me. By then, Eli was back at school on half days. Still limping, but getting better. He wasn't asking about them anymore. Didn't even bring them up. Focused on school, his PC build, and getting through physical therapy. The last thing he said about them came that Friday when we were walking back from the clinic. We passed a family loading groceries into a car. He said, "I don't get how some people can be around their families that much." That was it. We got home and I finally swapped out the locks. Michelle had never had a copy, but I wasn't taking chances. I installed a Ring camera, updated the building security file with a photo of both my parents, and registered Eli's school address under a digital mailbox. They wouldn't find out where he was enrolled again. By the end of the week, they'd gone full Cold War. No more calls, no more letters. Just subtweets and guilt quotes posted to Facebook. One of them read, "Real women don't walk away from responsibility." Another, "Forgiveness is strength. Bitterness is weakness." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. They weren't talking to me. They were talking to whoever still believed them. Friday started like any other. Emails, calls, route coordination from my home setup. I was reviewing a scheduled high-risk shipment when my phone buzzed. Caller ID, Eli's school. They don't call unless something's off. The admin on the other end sounded calm but cautious. "Hi, Ms. Brylock. Just confirming. Was someone else supposed to pick up Eli today? Why?" There was a woman in a gray hoodie and sunglasses waiting by the gate this morning. She told the aide she was Eli's aunt and said she was there on your behalf. Eli told staff he didn't recognize her and went straight inside. Did the woman leave? She hung around for a few minutes, then walked off when a second staff member came out. "Did you get footage?" "We're pulling it now. Do you want us to email it?" "Yes, and save it." I knew who it was. I didn't need the video to confirm, but I watched it anyway. Michelle. Same gray hoodie she always wears, hunched by the gate like she was casing the place. She looked like a knockoff version of herself, like she hadn't showered in days and had borrowed the sunglasses off a gas station counter. The staff handled it perfectly. No panic, no attention. Just Eli walking in while the woman lingered like a loser on the sidelines. I called Carter, gave him the timestamp, forwarded the footage. He didn't say much except, "That's enough for a written warning and a school no-contact order." By 4 p.m., Carter's assistant emailed a formal cease and desist to Michelle's last known email, with copies sent to my parents and school admin. Subject, unlawful attempted contact with minor, Eli Brylock. 5 minutes later, Michelle went live on Instagram. Title of the stream, "My sister thinks she owns my kid." I don't follow her, but Jack sent me the screen recording. It was 42 minutes of incoherent whining. Michelle called me abusive, controlling, and said she was just trying to give Eli a break from all the legal energy, whatever that means. She made it sound like I had my son locked in a bunker and only fed him protein bars and court filings. She told her 17 viewers that Eli needed therapeutic bonding with family and said I was going to cause irreversible emotional damage. She called Carter a lawyer cosplayer and claimed the cease and desist was fake. Then the highlight. If they don't want to talk, maybe CPS needs to hear what really goes on behind their closed doors. That part made Jack pause the video and say, "She's about to get herself arrested." I didn't post a rebuttal. I didn't threaten anything. I sent the footage to Carter and went back to work. By Monday, we had a notarized statement ready. Carter filed an official report with the city's Family Protection Unit outlining Michelle's attempted school pickup, her ongoing harassment, and the implied threats made on social media. The next morning, I submitted a copy of the statement to the school with my updated emergency contact list. Me, Jack, and one coworker. That's it. I also reactivated Eli's school pickup code system. New password, new QR code, no pickup. At noon, my Ring app pinged me with movement. Michelle was at the front of my building. She wasn't trying to hide this time. She looked directly at the camera, held up her phone, and said, "This ends now." Then she sat down on the curb like she was waiting for an Uber. I sent the footage to Carter, who sent back one line. "She's begging for a protective order." We didn't bite, yet, but we logged the visit, tagged it, and kept it on file. That night, I installed a deadbolt on my balcony door just in case. The next day, Eli's school called again. Not about Michelle, about an unverified tip. Someone had anonymously reported that Eli seemed overly tired and withdrawn, and that his mother might be exhibiting controlling behavior. They couldn't legally say where the tip came from, but it didn't take a genius. The counselor asked if Eli would be okay doing a quick wellness check. I agreed. Eli talked to her for 15 minutes, answered every question. She said he was fine, sleepy because of the meds, not depressed. Said he spoke positively about our routine and even showed her the Nintendo Switch setup I helped him build over the weekend. The report was closed the same day. But I added a home visit clause to our legal file. No one comes near my door without consequences. That evening, Michelle posted another story on Instagram. This time, she didn't show her face, just black text on a white screen. "Just know this, the truth always finds light." Then she made her account private. Jack called me that night. "She's unraveling," he said, like, fully cooked. "This isn't going to stop until someone puts it in writing that she's done." Carter agreed. He drafted a formal trespass notice and submitted it to the precinct tied to my building's address. If Michelle came back, they wouldn't need to ask questions. Just arrest and notify. I printed the copy, taped it behind the front desk, and emailed a scan to the building manager. Eli didn't ask questions about Michelle. He saw the security footage once and said, "Why was Aunt Michelle there?" I told him the truth. "She's trying to get attention, but she won't bother you again." Eli nodded and went back to his Switch. I didn't hear from Michelle directly again for a week. Then one morning, I woke up to find a flash drive taped to my car windshield. No note, no envelope, just a USB stick stuck under the wiper blade like a parking ticket. I brought it upstairs, booted up a company burner laptop, scanned it for malware, and opened the contents. One folder labeled Truth. Inside, and grainy photos of me and Eli at a hardware store, a screenshot of my company bio from our website, a few out-of-context images from a vacation I took last year, and one document, a Google Doc printout titled Patterns of Isolation and Control, What the Court Should Know. It was full of rants about how I was hoarding the child, emotionally freezing out family, and weaponizing finances to manipulate legacy relationships. Michelle had written the whole thing in third person, like she was a therapist diagnosing a patient. There were even fake footnotes. I sent it to Carter. He replied, "If this goes to court, it'll help us. But for now, document and ignore." That's exactly what I did. By the end of the week, I filed a non-emergency restraining order with Carter's help. We included every video, message, email, and school incident. We backed it with Ring footage, the school affidavit, and the USB doc. She hadn't just crossed the line. She'd buried it under her tantrums. And I wasn't playing defense anymore. 2 weeks after the flash drive stunt, the judge granted the temporary restraining order. Michelle couldn't come within 200 feet of Eli, his school, or my building. Any breach meant arrest. Carter made sure the order was tight. No wiggle room, No misunderstandings. Michelle was officially listed as a non-custodial relative with no visitation rights. The next 48 hours were quiet. No voicemails, no ring alerts, no random school tip-offs. Jack texted me. Did they finally get it? I said, no, they're regrouping. That regroup came in the form of a group email. Sender. My mom CC'd, Michelle, my dad, 2 aunts, 1 uncle, and even my cousin Daryl, who hadn't spoken to me since I skipped his pyramid scheme launch party. Subject. This has gone far enough. It was 5 paragraphs of delusion. Started with, we understand you've been under stress. Then pivoted to, family should come together, not threaten each other with court. She claimed the restraining order was a shocking betrayal, accused me of falsely portraying Michelle as unstable, and ended with, we demand an in-person sit-down. No lawyers, no bias. Carter read it and said, you're not obligated to respond, but we can reply through me. Instead, I wrote 1 sentence, sent directly to my mom. Actions have consequences. This is yours. That was it. That night, Michelle's GoFundMe hit $13. Someone named Justice for Michelle donated $50, probably herself. The next morning, I started phase 2. It wasn't dramatic, just methodical. First, I called the county clerk and submitted a notice of withdrawal for the emergency medical proxy I'd set up years ago for my dad, back when he had surgery and I was the only one stable enough to handle logistics. That proxy gave me financial liability. Gone now. Second, I transferred the family insurance records to a new private folder. No more shared access through the old Google Drive. They'd gotten lazy. Assumed my inbox was their public storage. I wiped everything and started fresh. Third, I changed Eli's school registration. Listed him under my legal name only. Removed all authorized pickups except Jack and my coworker. Told the admin, if anyone else showed up asking for him, call the police. Fourth, I updated the will. I'd been dragging my feet on it, didn't want to think about worst-case scenarios, but now it was necessary. Jack came with me to the attorney's office. We notarized everything. If something ever happened to me, Eli was going to Jack, not my parents, not Michelle. I left no room for loopholes. The paperwork was tight. 1 week later, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email, not a DM. An actual letter from my dad. Handwritten on yellow legal paper, like he wanted to make it extra dramatic. Daughter, you've made your point. But this is shameful. Your mother cries every night. Your sister is emotionally shattered. And you, someone we raised, have reduced us to beggars. He went on to say they were behind on mortgage payments and hinted that Michelle was facing legal trouble. Said if I didn't come back to the table, the family legacy would collapse. Then he signed it with, do the right thing. That same day, I got a voicemail from Michelle. She sounded shaky. Ava, I know things went sideways, but I didn't mean for it to get this bad. We were just trying to teach you something, that's all. Can we meet up? Just talk. I didn't reply, but I kept the voicemail. Carter said it was useful. Later that week, I took Eli to his physical therapy session. While we waited, he pulled out his phone and showed me a TikTok. Michelle again, another live stream. She was sitting in a car, ranting about toxic sisters and family traitors. This time, she said she was going to expose the truth and drop receipts. One of the receipts? A photo of the restraining order envelope on her kitchen table, dated, stamped, undeniable. She was bragging about it like it made her famous. I didn't call Carter this time. I called the precinct directly and asked for the domestic order unit. Sent them the footage. They already had it on record. Said they'd forward it to the DA for a harassment upgrade. Michelle didn't get arrested, but she got a visit. 2 plainclothes officers. Quick talk. Legal warning in writing. After that, no more live streams. Meanwhile, Eli was doing better. Cast off, walking with a cane, grades steady, mood calm. One afternoon, he asked, are they still mad? I said, they're not my problem anymore. He nodded and said, good. 3 weeks passed. Then came the final move. Michelle filed a civil complaint. It wasn't serious, just noise. She claimed emotional distress, family exclusion, and intentional harm through financial manipulation. Carter handled it. We submitted evidence, timeline, footage, the voicemail where Michelle admitted they were trying to teach me something. The court dismissed the complaint in 6 days. That was the last legal document I ever got from them. It's been 6 months now. No calls, no emails, no random tips to the school, no late-night curb squatting. Jack checks in every Sunday. Eli's back in school full-time. He asked to join a robotics club. I bought him a new kit. No drama, no noise. The house I grew up in is still standing, but the utilities are someone else's problem now. Michelle moved out. Rumor is she's couch surfing and working on something big. My parents downsized, sold their truck, canceled streaming. My aunt texted me asking for a loan. I blocked the number. I'm not angry, I'm done.